Yo, what's up, people? So today is 8/31/2022, last day of the month, and it's a Wednesday. What a crazy day today, I'm gonna be honest, with well, specifically for pound dollar, dollar CAD, and honestly even euro dollar. Um, Coming into the week, my bias was to the downside. However, I knew that we had taken out sell stops on the weekly time frame here, and so knowing this, uh, if we go by what ICT talks to us about, is that when that happens, when any pool of liquidity gets taken out, the next thing that happens is that usually the market will begin to turn around. And so, what are keys and pretty much ideas that I look for when the market's ready to go the other way? And honestly, this whole last week and this week, this looks like it's been more of a seek and destroy type of moves. And so, what's crazy is that even with following ICT and what he teaches, I'm able to save my ass from taking trades that could have resulted in losses. And so I wanted to go over that and also obviously go over euro dollar here in this for this video. I know I've been doing a lot of euro dollar. Only reason why is just because pound dollar and dollar CAD, I really haven't seen anything. And to be honest, like if I want to show you this real quick, it's just been on a seek and destroy. It takes out this, takes out that right here, and then takes out sell stops here, here, and it's just like a seek and destroy, right? And so there's really not much to do, to be honest. There is a fair value gap that I was targeting this morning that I noticed, and then obviously all these quadruple bottoms were taken. So to me, and this is what I mean when I was talking about yesterday, you guys saw my video, that we don't really know what can happen, even if we don't know the bias exactly. When we come in throughout the day to check out the charts at night, this was somewhere around, for me, this was somewhere around here. I mean, it's just choppy sideways movement, right? London session, at that point, I'm pretty much sleeping, and then I don't wake up until this whole move has already happened. You can see Asia session, or London session took out Asia session. And by the way, if you've seen my little mini course, this is a beautiful example of when I mentioned when a session takes out a previous session, it'll usually go the opposite way. That's exactly what you want to go for. So, assuming if you see the setup here in a lower time frame, right? This takes out what? Buy stops, okay? This is a key. This is a key time zone. Takes out buy stops in London session. If you get the setup, then you trade that, and then you shoot for target, which is the lows of Asia session. And there you go. It's about 29 points. I mean, that's really all you need, people. If depending on your position size, obviously 29 points, 20, 30 points doesn't sound like a lot. When you increase a position size, holy smokes, man, you can kill it. And that's all you need. But anyways, I digress on that. So we had these quadruple lows. Asia session, New York PM session was all the way through Asia session, sideways movement. London session finally did something. This is where I woke up, and I noticed that we took out all this right here, and I'm just like, okay, well, the only logical thing is to go up. However, my bias was still a lot more percentage was to the downside than to the upside. However, this was still a setup that I follow from my particular rules. However, I still didn't take it, and I'll tell you why. I'm going to go over this in the video right now. So, the reason why I still did not take this trade is because, check it out. Let me remove this first. So, the market came down here. We took out sell stops. All those, the quadruple relative lows, equal lows, were all taken out here. Once New York session started, we had two strong candles to the upside, and then what we created a fair value gap from here to there. That was perfect. This is actually for the 15 minute, so I'm going to go ahead and color code this right there. This is my 15-minute fair value gap that took out this. Or actually here we took out sell stops and we took out buy stops right there. Perfect. 1, 2 candles. By the way, I do mention this in my little mini course when I look for A-type setups. The only thing is that I did not take this one, and I'm going to explain why. So anyways, this happened, but you got to remember that there was news. There was actually a lot of news that were very close to each other, all throughout from 7 a.m. Eastern all the way through 8:30 a.m. Eastern. They were pretty close to each other, and there was also news at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. And so you can, and one thing that I also mentioned in my rules, or that I talk about, is to wait 10 minutes to place a trade, and then look for, after news happens, number one, wait 10 minutes. Number two, wait to see if liquidity gets taken. That's what you want to see, okay? And so anyways, so this is what was happening. Here at 8:30 Eastern, news lifted, and instead of going to take out liquidity, it was actually used in order to fill to take it did take out liquidity here on this 5-minute area, right? But it pretty much used it. See, the thing is that the setup had already occurred before the news happened. And for me, this is actually in episode 40 of ICT. If you've seen the mentorship 2022, episode 40 or 41, one of those in the middle, ICT talks about this, where sometimes the setups are going to happen before the news, and then after news, it's going to use the fair value gaps to propel them to continue in the direction where it was supposed to go, right? Now, if for those of you that are just looking at this and are just beginning, you probably saw this right here, and because if your bias was to the downside, you probably saw buy stops get taken here, sell sides get taken here. By the way, this is also a valid setup, but because of the news rules, that invalidates as to why I would be shorting here. Another thing I actually need to mention is that a higher time frame takes precedent over a setup in a lower time frame, and so that's a big one. All right, I hope you guys are taking notes here. If you guys are beginners or have seen the course and are watching my videos on ICT concepts, because the whole thing is fractal, this particular setup is going to happen in every single time zone. One thing that ICT mentions is that the parent will always be in the bigger time zone. Okay, and because this happened in the 15-minute time frame, we took out sell stops here. 15-minute time frame setup happened. This has power over the 5-minute one. It has more strength, right? But not just that. Keep in mind that the move happened before the news, right? This took out buy stops here before the news can happen. Now I know there was some little news here happening too, but there's something about that 8:30 Eastern time frame that they wait for, right? The algorithm waits for it, and that's when the actual move occurs. And so it's just crazy how ICT gives you the times, and he talks about this where it's like, what if you knew exactly when you just need to come in an hour before, 30 minutes to an hour before the news comes, or market times, whatever market times he talks about. Imagine you could do that, come in here, and either you take the trade or you don't, right? And so this is very important to understand. Now, I understand that I have so many rules or something that if you guys are just watching this for the first time, you're probably confused, and I do apologize about that because I know how hard this is. I understand how you can easily just get lost in the mix, and probably some of you may even ask yourself, how do you remember all that shit, right? It's a lot of little details, and the only way to remember is by going through the experience. And believe it or not, you got to go through losses. You got to go through the pain, um, the pain of losing. To be honest, if you take a trade and you're naive about these situations, and I think that's really an experience that can't be transferred. I can't forge myself into you so that you can learn how to do this and be able to, you know, not take a trade because of a specific rule. It's hard, and I'm definitely not going to sugarcoat it. This is definitely not for everybody. Now, obviously, I'm still not in a place where I want to be, but I feel I'm definitely getting closer to it as I progress through my journey as a trader. And I think I've noticed those moments where it's like, holy shit, the old me 5 years ago probably would have taken a trade right here and probably would have taken a loss, maybe a break even day. This for me probably would have been a loser day just because we had a different bias and different situation. But knowing ICT process and concepts, it just saved me from having to take a loss. But anyways, so now the reason why I didn't take the trade on the 15-minute time zone here because there was a perfect fair value gap, and if you draw a Fibonacci extension, my second rule, actually is already like third or fourth rule, I gotta be at around it. The market has to hit a 50% retracement. Did it hit 50% retracement? Yes, it did, right there. Okay. The issue with that is that because of my 10-minute waiting rule to place a trade, you can see that this happened at 8:35. This candle here that crossed below the 50%, it was at 8:35 Eastern time. The candle at 8:40 Eastern time was already high, and we never really came down here until this fair value gap was actually this buy stops here were taken right here, right there, and then we came right back down to this fair value gap, and then we went straight back up. And so for me, I do take continuation trades, but this is not my setup of continuation trade. Neither is this either. For me to have taken this trade, I would have had to seen two candles exactly like this, very strong candles to the upside, and they had to have closed. Here, this one, it didn't close. It just stayed that way. Now, I know ICT mentions it doesn't have to close, but he talks about that for the particular beginning of the setup. It doesn't have to close. This could be your rule. This could be, it really just depends what your rules are, and the rules is what will define, whatever setups that you take. For me, I like to take those A setups that I like to look for. Once again, this just goes back with back testing, forward testing, and experience. For me, and just for confidence, to be honest, right? It's really what it is. For me to have taken this trade, I would have loved to have seen two candles in the 5-minute or even on the 15-minute, two candles go through this area and close above this particular area as well. Close above it. I didn't like that we closed this way. Now, this could just be my own retail way of thinking. Will I develop in time and be more confident here? I probably can. I probably will. Because there was also another mini setup. If you go on here on the 5-minute. Actually, this wasn't even a mini setup. This is just another sort of a continuation trade here. Right there. But these, for me to take those, I feel those are really advanced. I just wouldn't do it. However, like I said, I will take the continuation trades. But for me to do that, I would have loved to have seen two candles close above. Those two candles really strong, close above. And then what I do is I'll go ahead and put my Fibonacci extension here. If we're below 50%, we got to look for that fair value gap. There it is. Buy right there. Boom. And then ride the market. And obviously shoot for negative 0.5. You can see right there. There's the negative 0.5. Now if we draw the Fibonacci here. Oops. Let's go ahead and put it right there. Yeah, you can see the, yeah, I mean, let me see here. I thought the negative 100 would have been above this, but it's not. Um, yeah, -5, anything above this level getting taken, that's pretty much target. That's more than enough, right? Because here's the fair value gap. You right up here. That's we're talking about 54 points. Like if anything, that would have just I would have 100% passed my phase one, and then I moved to phase two. But anyways, that didn't happen, so it doesn't even matter. But I'm just letting you guys know for a continuation trade, that's what I look for. Shit like this. Here's one candle, two candles, and then you get this push up. Um, as a matter of fact, this is exactly what I would have loved to have seen. Targets are above right there, so this is perfect for a continuation trade. Obviously, once you've broken out of buy stops liquidity, then once again, right, when you take out buy stops liquidity, you look to trade in the opposite direction. When it's sell stops, the opposite direction is to buy, right? And that's like I said, I go over that in my little mini course. I mean, ICT talks about it once again, right? If you haven't seen the ICT mentorship, then whatever it is that I create is really not going to help you. But anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this little quick review of this euro dollar forex analysis, and stay safe until next time. Talk to you guys later.